And each boat can support 20 persons. The vessel is additionally equipped with at least one self-inflating life raft capable of supporting 65 persons. A first aid kit is available for any minor accidents, and at least one trained first aider is on board the vessel at all times. Please also be aware that any form of smoking is not allowed on board the vessel. Rest assured you are in safe hands. Please relax and enjoy your trip along the River Dee. In the downstairs lounge there is a fully stocked bar, together with hot drinks and snacks. Today you are cruising along the River Dee aboard the Mark Twain. When built in 1971, it was shorter with an open upper deck and paddle wheel at the rear, very much in the style of a Mississippi steamer. Originally it was called the Francis Leonard and operates on the River Thames. Owned and purchased by Chesterboat in 1987, the vessel was extensively altered and renamed the Mark Twain in memory of its former appearance. The River Dee rises in the mountains of Snowdonia in North Wales, just to the west of Lake Ballina. After flowing northeastward along the broad valley to Corwin, it plunges down the beautiful vale of Llandough before leaving the Welsh foothills near Bangor-on-Dee. Then meanders northward through the Cheshire Plain before eventually swinging northwestward at Chester. After flowing over the Chester Weir, then onto the Old Dee Bridge, then progresses another 18 miles along the Dee estuary, finally discharging into the Irish Sea. Although not particularly long, at approximately 80 miles, the River Dee today proudly represents an internationally famous example of advanced water management. In simple terms, water is stored in reservoirs during periods of heavy rainfall, and then released back into the river by controlled sluice gates, thus supplementing the natural mud flows and permitting constant extraction, while still maintaining a reasonably constant volume of water in the river. By these means, almost 200 million gallons can be extracted daily by 5 water authorities, while still allowing approximately 80 million gallons to flow onwards to the sea. This process was initially set up in the early 19th century to allow a constant supply of water to the local canal system. Thomas Telford, the Scottish engineer, famous for his canal, road and bridge building expertise, was the forerunner in this endeavour, and although today the system is much modernised, nonetheless the same principles are still applied. During your cruise today, you may see mallard ducks, waterfowl such as moorhens and coots, herons, cormorants and swans. In the UK, all swans belong to the reigning monarch. The most common type to be found on the river is the mute swan, the largest native British bird, with a wingspan of more than 6 feet. In 1974, there were approximately 100 swans at Chester, but during the 1980s, their numbers almost vanished due to lead poisoning, nest vandalism, and injuries sustained from human litter. By the late 1990s, 20 to 30 breeding pairs had returned to the river, but today, sadly, the numbers have once again diminished. Recent evidence suggests that for whatever the reason, the swans have possibly just relocated for a while to the nearby canals, lakes, and other local rivers close to Chester. If you're really lucky today, you may even see a black cormorant on the riverside or standing on the weir. Should it have its wings fully outstretched, then it is probably just eaten. It's now digesting its meal. What you are unlikely to see is exactly what's in the river. There used to be 2 main types of fishing on the river, both under license of course. Below the weir, in the lower reaches of the river, salmon fishing was undertaken commercially for decades. In common with most rivers on the western coast of the British Isles, the River Dee at one time saw huge numbers of salmon returning regularly to spawn upstream. In 1997, for example, the salmon were so numerous during their return to the sea after spawning that some mistakenly leapt into many of the rowing boats at the quayside. Of course, being good upstanding citizens, the crew returned them to the river, thus allowing them to continue their journey. In more recent times, the National Environment Agency bought up all the traditional fishing concessions in order to preserve fish stocks, thus ending commercial salmon fishing below the weir. In more recent times, the National Environment Agency bought up all the traditional fishing concessions in order to preserve fish stocks, thus ending commercial salmon fishing below the weir. Above the weir, coarse fishing still takes place using rod and line. The River Dee is home to many fish, including the likes of chub, perch, roach, dace, bream, pike and salmon, of course. On the subject of boating, I'll bet that not many of you are aware that Chester holds the distinction of having the oldest regatta in the country. In 1814, more than 10,000 people lined the riverbanks for a regatta in celebration of the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte. The following year he escaped from captivity and regathered his scattered forces, only to suffer another devastating defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. Naturally, Chester celebrated once more with yet another regatta. As the vessel turns to begin the return for almost 2,000 years ago, and it's still regularly visited here for practice. A little further beyond this straight section, the river begins to twist and turn, eventually passing through the estate of the Duke of Westminster. The family's name is Grosvenor, and the present Duke owns some 11,000 acres here just south of the city. His home is known as Eaton Hall and has been a family possession since the 15th century. The original Grosvenors were actually kinsmen of William the Conqueror himself, and as
they've actually got boats.
They control most of the land around Chester. Today, not only are they the biggest landowners in Chester, but also in London, with properties in areas such as Grosvenor Square, Belgravia and Mayfair. As the vessel moves on downstream, almost immediately note the large glass-fronted building on the right-hand side, known as the Red House. It was actually painted a vivid red until quite recently, but toned down to its present colour to blend in more naturally with the river environment. There has been a public house on this site since 1850. A tea room was installed in its riverside gardens in 1890, followed by a ferry service which operated from 1900 until the early 1950s. Today it is a modern restaurant. A little further on, note the large apartment block. Built in 1979, it is known as Riverside Court. From 1868 until the 1970s, this was the site of another public house and lodgings known as the White House Hotel. The hotel provided rowing boats for hire, and it too ran a ferry service until the onset of the Second World War. Beyond Riverside Court, and continuing for quite some distance on the right-hand side, look out for some riverside wooden cottages, which were once part of the...
Sorry, the people have just moved. Could you move back to where you sat before, please? Thank you.
Property of the large houses to the rear. Over the years, many of these riverside holdings have been sold off.
Sorry, the people have moved. Could you move back to where you were sat, please? The boat's leaning a bit too much. Thank you.
The UK. The King's School, formed in 1887, is also the oldest school in Chester. The king in question was Henry VIII, and following the dissolution of the abbey, the school was founded in 1541 in the newly formed cathedral, initially for the education of 24 poor and friendless boys. By 1960, the school had expanded significantly, causing a move to new premises just south of the